Hey folks, right on time. I scheduled this to be 10 o'clock a.m. Central. It is 10 o'clock a.m. Central. Awesome. If you're able to make it, great. If you get here a little bit late, I encourage people, jump into the comments, have a conversation. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and if you like this topic or if you'd like to see more on this topic. This topic to me is near and dear to my heart because I truly am passionate about the use of these tools and how corporations, how enterprises, how organizations from small to large can change the way they communicate, not just with their stakeholders, but with everybody en masse. So before I go into, kind of this, shared screen and talk about this and share this and all these things, I just want to lay out kind of like what we're going to talk about today, why I feel it's so important, and then we'll drive into some of the details. So yesterday I went live unscheduled, right? But I just went live and I did kind of a preview of what this talk is going to be about today. And it was, why an LMS? Why a learning management system? And I'm going to be honest, a lot of the companies that I initially speak to when it comes to web services, when I go into a business consulting arrangement with somebody and we start to do our needs assessment, we say, okay, so, what is your good or service? How big is your staff? What are some of your processes? And we start to whittle down, into the meat of the matter. You see, there are some agencies that you can call and have a website made. And then there's other agencies like Mañana No Mas that do a full consultation, a full need assessment to say, okay, what are you asking for? And how does that suit your needs? How does that fit your needs? How does that, and in a lot of cases, after the consultation, there's no website. In a lot of cases, we take a look at their business, their operational method, and we might say, hey, after consulting with you and after looking at your needs, we're not the right one for you, right? Like maybe you just need a brochure style website. Maybe you just need, something else, but you don't need what we're specialists in. So let me put you in a good direction. And that alone has value. When you consider how many podcasts I'm on, how many people I'm in touch with, the size of my network, that alone has value because you come to us and you say, hey, maybe Mañana No Mas is the right service provider for us. And then we do a needs assessment. We do the consultation and then we say, hey, we're really not the best solution for you, right? Like we're going to need this much budget and you have this much budget. So let's do this. Let me give you to, an associate of mine. Let me give you to someone in my network that best suits your needs at this time. And so I think it's really important to know kind of like where the boundaries are and what we discuss. So when I am doing these consultations, I will typically sow the seed or ask the question, how do you onboard new employees? And do you have a learning management system to help speed that process? Now, most of the time, that answer is no, we don't have a learning management system, and no, we don't need one. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, that's typically what the response is going to be. You own a coffee shop, and I'm going to say, how do you train these new baristas that you keep hiring, right? If you've got one of these businesses that's a revolving door in a college town, an ice cream shop, a coffee shop, you know what I'm talking about, right? These quick service businesses where there's a constant rotation of employees, and you always seem to be training somebody or onboarding somebody to take a new role in the company. And I'll say, do you have a learning management system for your business to onboard your employees? And they'll say, no, we don't have that. We don't need it. And here's where I think that instant negative answer comes from. Anyone that has any time and service in any corporate arena has taken some kind of e-learning. And in most cases, that e-learning has sucked. So it's not entertaining. It's not attractive. It's burdensome. People don't enjoy it. So we could just go on and talk, and we could berate e-learning for a long time. But the other side of it from a business perspective is that in a lot of cases, e-learning is very costly. So if you want to have e-learning made in a course authoring tool and you hire an instructional designer to custom make you training in an authoring tool like Articulate 360, like Captivate, like Rise, like any of these high tier products, you're going to come out with what they call a SCORM package. And that SCORM package is going to cost a fair investment to have made. Well, then there's an assumption. See, this is why I'm doing this talk today. Then there's an assumption. And the assumption is I am going to need a purpose built, solo purpose, right? So the only thing this website's going to do is host my training. And it has to be a specific website to host this type of file, to track this kind of progress, and to give me the report or the certificate I require at the end of the training. And just to give you an idea of some numbers, I worked for a corporation. I'd love to say recently, but it's like a decade ago now. Literally $250,000 a year for an e-learning website. Literally, that was just hosting and maintenance. I don't know what they paid to develop it, but it was like $250,000 a year hosting and maintenance. I worked for another corporation, and it was roughly $450,000 to $500,000 to develop the website. And then I still can't believe it. I can't believe it. $400,000 a year hosting and maintenance. And they had an internal team making the training product. So that $400,000 a year wasn't even paying to have the content developed. It was just hosting and maintenance and keeping it going. And so when I'm having conversations with business people that have any business acumen or experience whatsoever from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and I say, do you have a learning management system? Their instant answer is, we don't have one and we don't need one. Because that negative personal bias that they're bringing from their previous experience. So I wanted to do this talk today because I wanted to say every business needs e-learning. Every business, every organization can benefit from e-learning. And then I'm going to surprise you. And I'm going to say all those six-figure price tags that I talked about, they don't make sense today. They don't make sense today. So let's say I'm already making a website for a company. Let's say it's going to be a membership website, and we want to let people have an account. We want to let people have discussion groups. We want to let people have like a timeline that they can post, kind of like a Facebook page inside of a website. But we also want to have like a marketing front end of the website. So we want to have the home page, the contact page, the About Us page, lead magnets where people sign up for a white paper and get added to a CRM tool. Let's say we're building a website like that. So we're already going to spend $15,000, $16,000, maybe 20 grand. And then again, based on needs, based on their style guide, based on the content they provide, do they need assistance with copywriting? Do they need customer service, running the membership support, after the build? There's all of these things that as an agency we can help address. But let's talk about this. Let's say I have that conversation with this imaginary client and we settle on $20,000 to build this really cool website. And then I say, do you have an LMS? And they say, we don't have one, we don't need one. And I go, wait a minute, we don't have to build SCORM material. We can build you an LMS, a learning management system that'll still track your users, their completion progress, issue certificates if you need them, right? And we can build that content directly in the website without using SCORM. And the tools that we're going to use to add these to your website are incremental, right? In pure software costs, we might spend $1,500 a year on the software. And then of course you already have the hosting, right? Because you were hosting the website anyway. And this is a paradigm shift in the way that a lot of business owners, corporations, enterprise business think about e-learning. You see, we're going from, I need a purpose-built website that has, solo purpose just to run the learning, and it just does this. And so what companies are used to is they're used to having their marketing website, and then they're used to having some other tool for HR, and then they're used to having some other tool for, maybe inventory management or billing or something. And then they have some other tool for learning. And that these are all sign-ins, right? So sometimes they have single sign-in, other times it's, you can always tell when someone works for a big corporation because on the back of their laptop is a sticky note that has a list of all their passwords, right? Because they've got 6 or 7 tools they need to sign into. Imagine you're a company, a big company. Pick one. I don't know. Pick Nike. Pick Apple. Pick pick Apple. That's kind of funny because they make kind of their own software. Anyway, pick a big company and then think about all of the tools that they have. Think about all those little subdomains and different site things that you see in the URL bar when you are on one of those websites. Now imagine you have one URL. Boom. abc123.com, right? abc123.com. Homepage, about us page, contact page, a services page, lead magnets, built into the site. Everything's in there, right? People sign up for a lead magnet, boom, it goes into the CRM in the back of the website, grows the mail list. You don't have to worry about having like Active Campaign or Keep or HubSpot. Where the bigger your audience gets, the more it multiplies your expenses, right? So you get away from that. And then you factor in the membership tools, and the membership tools come with content restriction. So as this company, as this organization, you're able to take things like, let's say you have blog posts you just want members to be able to read, not the public. Fine. You block them out. You say this content's only available if you have a membership. This content's only available if you're enrolled in this course, right? And you use the membership tools. So everything's in the website. Everything is in the website. Boom. You don't have to have 5 passwords, 6 passwords to do your job. You have one website that you kind of use as your communication portal between your coworkers, HR, your customers, the general public, and different levels of membership in the website give people different roles, such as the public, a visitor, a customer, a student, an instructor. And so you can build these roles and give people certain permissions to see certain things within the website. This sounds like I'm building something immensely expensive and complicated. Now, I'm not going to lie and be some kind of weird Squarespace commercial and say you can whip this up in 15 minutes on your own. I'm not going to lie like that. It's not that it's not complicated. It is complicated. There's a lot of tools that have to interlock together and have to work. But if we take WordPress, for example, WordPress is incredibly secure, incredibly flexible, incredibly productive. And so we could take a tool like WordPress and we can add those tools. And if you are new to WordPress, you're going to go to a repository of add-on tools, plugins, and you're going to see 65,000 plugins in there. Well, part of the strength of using an expert like Manana no Mas or Kurt Von Ahnen is out of those 65,000 plugins, there's 25 to 30 that are really good, powerful tools that become part of our tech stack. Some of them we use the free versions, some of them we have paid versions, some of them we only use the pro versions of certain tools. Okay. So, but we know what those tools are. We have our tech stack. And so we do the needs assessment with our client and we say, hey, based on your needs, this is the tech stack we're going to assign to this project, and we can build out the framework for this, and we can inject your content into that framework and build what you want. And because it's WordPress, not Wix, not Squarespace, not Flow, whatever, we're able to build what you want. So, and again, based on budget. Do you want something completely custom? Do you want something that's coded up from scratch? Okay, we got you. We can do it. But hey, what about this? What about if your corporate colors and your initial kind of design ideas already pre-exist in some kind of like pre-formatted way, and we're able to combine your content with that pre-formatted design, and we're able to come up with something that looks really incredible for you and your company, but also drives that budget down and gives you something really workable. That's kind of a big deal. And so when I say why an LMS, I'm not just saying because it's cheaper. Like, I'm not saying get an LMS because now we figured out we can do it for pennies on the dollar. It's not what I'm saying. Imagine you're a larger company and you're hiring for remote positions. You've got people all over the country, signing up to work for you, and you're advertising that this is a remote position. And then I say, how do you onboard your new employees? And you say, well, we bring them into the home office for about a week or 10 days. And, we run them for a couple of days with HR. And then we take them into a seminar webinar room. They do some video training in there. We sign off on that. And then we, assign them kind of a mentor or a work partner to show them how to do the job, for the next week or so. And then we send them home. And then we hope that they can keep going. We hope that they acclimate well, right? And they say, well, what's the turnover for that after that type of training? So thousands of dollars in travel expenses, thousands of dollars in salaries, because instead of working, you're teaming people up to work with other people, right? So think about the actual expense of onboarding these employees. Experts say it's about 300% of a salary to hire a new person, right? So if you're going to pay someone $50,000 a year, it costs 150 grand to bring them in. That's crazy. Now imagine, instead of hiring someone for a remote position and the first thing you do is make them go to the office, imagine you have them sign into a website, the website, and you say, hey, using your new corporate email that you got the invite from, I want you to sign into this website, and you're going to see that you can click on a thing called My Dashboard. In My Dashboard, you're going to see that you have access to 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 courses, whatever it is, right? You preload that for them. So yeah, you have the expense and the investment of creating the training in the first place. But now every time you hire somebody, you just say, oh, I need you to go in and take these 2 or 3 courses. The first course is going to be all the HR stuff. The 2 days with HR. Imagine this. Here's a W-9, fill it out. Here is our 2-hour seminar on sexual harassment that you were going to watch in the webinar room, right? But now they have to watch it, and you have a feature that says you have to watch the video until the end at the regular speed, blah, 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 and it marks it as complete. Now they're done, right? So they fill out the paperwork, they take the sexual harassment training, then maybe they take some process and procedure trainings from HR, and boom, that's done. Then they move on to what's their position, what's their job, and then they have assigned training based on that position or job. And unlike the mentored training that they were doing on site, unlike the mentored training where it was costing you a full-time salary to train that person, each and every person, right? That person now takes the course online. They learn all the theory. They see everything. They go, oh, this is how this works. That's how that works. They go through the whole thing. Here's the best part. They don't have to fly back and forth. They don't have to fly home and forget half of what they were taught. Now that training becomes a resource for them. So you know how whenever you're being trained and you're side by side with somebody, there's a chance that when you're side by side with somebody, based on circumstances or situational whatever, that person doesn't get the opportunity to share 100% of the training with the trainee, right? There's going to be some kind of a shortcut. There's going to be something that gets missed. With the online training, nothing's going to get missed. You give people 100% of the training 100% of the time. You have a process, you have a system, and you know what people were taught because it's in the system. And if people drop the ball after training, or if they forget some of the training, they have a resource. So they can go back to the resource and they can go, oh, I can rewatch this section and get right back on top of it. Whereas the other way, they're making phone calls and sending emails, and there's a delay when that one-on-one relationship can step in and fix the problem, right? So that's one reason why every company needs an LMS. The next is for customers. If you have a consumer product, a phone, a toaster oven, a new gas grill, a new whatever, having training for customers, if you could say, imagine IKEA. Raise your hand. Have you ever bought something from IKEA? So you get the thing from IKEA and you get a book with directions that is, in a lot of cases, barely legible. Imagine if IKEA created video training for each and every one of these products. Imagine if IKEA sent you the product and said, here's the book, but on the cover of the book is a QR code. When you scan this QR code, you get to enroll in a free course on how to build whatever it is you bought. So now it's going to be a video course. And the video course is going to say, hey, take out your book, lay out your book, check your inventory, make sure all these parts are here. Now, in your book that says this is step 1. So this is step 1 and how we execute it and what it looks like. This is step 2, how we execute it and what it should look like. This is step 3, how we execute it and what it should look like. Could you imagine how much more confidence people would have if they could just do that? So for me, an LMS is not just a cost center. It's not just an expense. It has the ability to create revenue, because the training that we put in the back of our websites can also be directed to any audience we choose. And when I do my screen share, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. And it looks like we got Nick Brown in the house. So Nick, good to see you. Nick, I don't know if you're giving me this or if you're like, hey, I got a question. So if you got a question, give me a shout, man. Feel free to put it in. But it's good to see you in here. Good to have you. What I'm going to jump into next is kind of a screen share, because I feel like if I talk about this stuff nonstop, but don't get to the meat of it, I feel like I'm just leaving y'all hanging. So this here is the Power Sport Academy. This is one of my personal products. I am going to go ahead and take the branding off the screen so you can see more of the screen and what's going on. And, this is what I'm talking about, putting everything in one website. So it's a normal looking website, right? We got home, membership catalog, course catalog, dashboard, courses, contact us, sign out, because people sign in and they can sign out. And if they need support, they can hit us up and get support. They can also set up an appointment and chat with me if they need to, right? It's the normal type of marketing content. So if we take a look at this, it looks like a normal website. Now, this website has some lead magnets in it, some white papers people can sign up for, all that. When they do, they go into, I'm going to open the dashboard for you. I'm going to be very transparent, show you exactly what we've built here. We have a CRM tool. Now, that CRM tool is really, really cool, because we're not just like collecting the names for a mail list. This CRM tool allows me to build things like automations. So I've got automated messages here that go out to people based on their activity within the website. If I take a look at contacts, for example, and I probably should blur some of this out, but it's going to show me who all's in the website. And I'll share Jared here because he's someone that we do business with. Emails, form submissions, support tickets, notes and activities, courses, everything that they do inside the website gets recorded. So I have full reporting on that perspective. But if we go back to the WordPress dashboard and we go down to Lifter LMS, which is my choice for a learning management system, we also have full reporting on the learning content. So here's a list of our students. If I want to see a list of courses, I can go into our list of courses. If I want to drive down to see what students are in which courses, I can simply click on, let's say, Dealer Hero Getting Started in Service. I got 13 enrolled students. If I want to see those students, I can take a look at them right here in real life. All right. If I want to know what the reporting looks like for their progress or for grades, I can pull that up as well. And everything that's in here is exportable as a CSV file. So when we come to like running a business, the LMS to me isn't just training. Like if we think about the old school example of the SCORM product that I talked about earlier when I first opened up the talk, I was talking about SCORM, how SCORM is made, and in a lot of cases, how SCORM is hosted. But here's the issue. In a lot of purpose-built training websites, you're not getting everything that you want out of that platform. You're hosting the training and you got a list of students and you can see grades and completions, but you're not getting everything you want out of that. For instance, I can pull this reporting in a CSV file if I want, or I can look at it directly on screen. And I can drive down to how long were they in the course, when did they sign in last, when did they get certified, all that. But I can also drive up, like I showed you, into the CRM tool, and I can show you their other activities. Did they read this blog post? Did they jump into this lead magnet? Did they get earn this tag from this type of activity? So all that's in there. So we see courses, memberships, engagements. This is where I give out certificates and things like that. Private posts. How many purpose-built SCORM learning websites have the ability for the instructor to message the student and then start a private chat back and forth that's saved in the website, so you always have a record of it, right? It goes like that. Time and time again, I'll be consulting or working with a learning staff, and they're like, well, I get a little bit nervous because I have to text or I have to email my students. Well, texting and email is separate from the corporate communication tool. And so by keeping everything in the corporate communication tool with a one site setup like this, everything's in there, right? So the student says, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, or God forbid, the instructor hit on me. It's all right there. All the communication is stored in the site. So you have the ability as an administrator to go back and take a look at that. Now, in this case, I actually put in a support tool. And I don't even think I've ever gotten a support ticket on this. Yeah, so I don't think I have any tickets. But we have our website set up so that not only do we have a CRM tool, not only do we create forms that create interactivity inside the website with students, but we have a support tool. So if something, God forbid, goes wrong, like I didn't get my certificate, I couldn't access the last lesson of my course, we have a support system. So they click, they make a support ticket, and again, everything stays within the corporate communication tool. Really big on that. Everything should stay in the corporate communication tool. I even have Zoom meetings that happen directly out of my website. So if I'm training and I want to create a new live session, I just create a new event, right? And it's going to look like this. It's going to look like you're building a blog post, right? So I have the title, right? And I'll say live event sample, right? And let's say, it'd be great if I could type. There we go, live event sample. I can put whatever I want here, description, pictures, an inset video, whatever I want. And then I can say, okay, it's going to be a meeting. It's going to start on Saturday at 11 o'clock. It's going to last for 40 minutes. I am in Central Time. Do I want to have a password for the meeting? Sure, we'll say ABC123. Okay. Do I want the waiting room? Do I want people to wait, or do I want them to have to not wait, right? Only logged in users. Look at all the tools you have, right? All the things that you can do. And if I want to record it, I can say, record this locally automatically. So I don't have to remember to hit record, right? So I get all that done and I click publish. And then if I want to see what that meeting is going to look like, we'll just jump over here and we'll say sharing this tab. It does say sharing this tab. And you can see we get a countdown. This blank area is where I would have put any text or images in there, right? We have a full page that way, right? So if I put some content in, that's where the content's going to go. It's going to go on the left side of the column. But the dynamic content is a countdown to the meeting, all the details for the meeting. And you can join the meeting via Zoom. You can join via the web browser. Or if you're the administrator, right, you can start the meeting. Obviously, students aren't going to see start meeting. So all of that is built right in, and I can take that meeting and I can put it anywhere inside my LMS. I can put it on any page, any course, any lesson. And so when I am talking about the coolness of why every company needs an LMS, it's not just to have some training material, right? It's not for the exercise of, well, yeah, we got training. It's like, it's not a necessary evil. It's not a necessary expense point. It can very much be, an optional investment point. If I imagine this, I used the IKEA example before because I think IKEA is a great example of how an LMS would benefit that company. If IKEA had video training for all of the things that they make and customers could sign in and see exactly how to build it, if they had that, their marketing could then say, right, follow along with our video tutorial on how to build this with confidence, right? Follow along so you can do this with confidence. Are you insecure about building your own furniture? No worries. We have free training available on our website. It becomes a marketing tool. When you use it from a customer perspective, it becomes a confidence booster. It becomes a marketing tool. It gives the brand more consistency and oomph, right? It's that capstone. It just brings things together and says, this is how it's going to work. Now, one of the things that I said that people may have gotten lost on was I can distribute the courses inside my website however I see fit with my audience. And so I wanted to share this course catalog, right? Teams built with love, customer retention, getting started in service, power sports fixed operations, phone sales, parts efficiency, and what is a KPI? So we have all of these things, okay? This is on the public facing course catalog. But we also do contract training for bigger organizations. And so when we take a look at that and we go back into our courses list, you're going to see I've got Dealer Hero getting started in service. I have Dealer Hero fixed operations, Dealer Hero phone and sales etiquette. This is the training that we do under contract for a larger organization. It's not on the public course catalog. If we look at this, and I'll do a quick edit screen here for you real quick. If you pull this up, you're going to see, maybe it's not here. Yep, I'm going to go the other way. And if it's there and I didn't see it, I apologize, but I'm in a hurry. So, and I'm not in a hurry because I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry because it's the pressure of being live, right? But let's go over here and you're going to see catalog and search visibility. I'm over on the right-hand side of the screen. It says hidden. So I can choose, do I want to hide this course or do I want to make this course public? So, and that sounds confusing, but bear with me. I'm going to tell you how this works. Let's say I make it hidden, right? So it's a private course for private students. So I make it hidden. People can't purchase it publicly on the front end of my website. But let's go back. Every student is going to have access to a dashboard. I want to make sure I'm on the right tab. Yeah, here we go. It's coming. So every student is going to have access to a dashboard. That dashboard is how they're going to access their courses. So let's go back to the front end. Remember, home, membership, dashboard. So if we click on dashboard, it's going to open up the dashboard and it's going to show if you're assigned to that course, this is how you access it. So even though it's hidden from the catalog, it certainly is not hidden from the students. And here's those courses that I showed you explicitly that were not on the public catalog. Dealer Hero, Dealer Hero, Dealer Hero, right? And if I view all my courses, you're going to see that I've got a whole list of them, right? And if I want to access that course, I simply click on it and I go to that course. So in this situation, whether I'm assigning the courses or selling the courses, and I think that's important to mention too. If we want to sell the courses, let's go back to our homepage. Let's go to the membership catalog. And you're going to see right here, I've got different entries to, different entryways into, let's go to individual packages, right? You can go right here. Do you want to buy $1,249 worth of training? Do you want to buy $12,000 worth of training? What do you want to do, right? So we can sell the training directly through the website. And with those private courses, I could sell those privately on hidden links, or if let's say it's a contract thing, right? And they're going to pay me whatever, and I'm going to train the number of students for the whatever. I can just manually assign those courses to those students. They sign in with their dashboard, they go to the course, and they take their deal. This is such a game changer if we think about basic business and how we use our websites to build our teams. Hands up for the IKEA comment. I've been there. A video demonstration would have been nice. I've built some very simple IKEA things, and I've made the mistake of buying some intricate IKEA things. I have an outdoor kind of like a barbecue set, tables and chairs, right? And building that was pretty straightforward, right? And there were some hiccups, but it was straightforward. Table, chairs, boom, right? But we've built some bookshelf things that had so many different sized parts and different things. If they would have had a video tutorial to go with the build process, it would have been so much easier. But this is what I want to talk about when we talk about the opportunity in how a company can leverage training, not only from an internal standpoint to onboard staff and smooth out the hiring process, but to also use as a marketing tool to give consumers more confidence in the brand. There's a difference between branding and marketing, and there's a difference between marketing and sales. Absolutely. There's a difference between branding and marketing, and there's a difference between marketing and sales. So as a company, you kind of want to recognize where these tools fall into. So training is typically referred to as an after sales activity, meaning we have a sales team that sells all of our products, and then we have training. And training is after sales. It's everything that supports the product after the sale or trains the staff to support the product after the sale. So if we think about the motorcycle industry, which I am very fond of, there's sales and there's after sales. So parts, service, training, that's all part of after sales. And then there's the sales department, which of course is the golden goose of every company that everybody loves. So if we change our perception, I'm always asking people to change their perception. If we change our perception and don't think of training as being this necessary evil back in the after sales dungeon, and we start thinking about it as a branding exercise to lend confidence to our consumers and to elevate our brand, well, now that brand bleeds over into marketing, right? So now for marketing purposes, they can say, hey, buy our product and don't be left out in the dark. We'll give you training on how to use our product more efficiently, more better, more higher performance, more efficiency, whatever, right? But that is now extending the role of training to the front end, to the back end, sales, branding, marketing, training, operations, the whole thing. Let's see. Nick's got a question. It says, is the training on your dashboard typically for entry-level technicians? That's a great question, Nick. I used to be the training manager for Ducati North America. I used to be the training and publications manager for Suzuki Motor of America. And I also helped develop a program called Quality Service with BRP, as well as a couple of other contracts with some other brands. So if we think about the technical aspects of things, when I was with Ducati, they used to have this really expensive way of certifying technicians. They would gather them for a week at a location, send them back out to the dealerships, and then bring them back for a second week for more training. And what I found was that 2 weeks wasn't enough. I found that a lot of technicians couldn't absorb the material. And this isn't to say they're stupid. I want to be very, very clear. Working on motorcycles in today's day and age is not like it's not what counselors in high school should be recommending for the dumb kids, right? Working on motorcycles, it's almost like you need to be a doctor. You know, you got computer diagnostics, you got to be familiar with how to do electrical diagnosis, you need suspension theory, engine internal combustion, fueling, what's stoichiometry, like all these things. You need to know all of these things. And we found that the 2 weeks wasn't enough. And the level of training wasn't good enough. The people in the field weren't competent enough. And worse, they weren't confident enough. And so a lot of work was getting done unnecessarily. Parts were being replaced that didn't need to be replaced. Budgets were getting blown because of a lack of training. It wasn't really the technician's fault. It was the process. And so one of the things I did at Ducati was I created online training where almost all of the theory about working on a Ducati motorcycle was given online. All of the theory, right? This is how we do electronic diagnosis. This is how we isolate the dashboard from the BBS. This is how we isolate the ECU from the BBS. So imagine we have all this theory training online, and the technicians could take it at their pace. That's very important. The technicians could take it at their pace. It wasn't being crammed into them, with a 1 week span. So they took it at their pace. Once they passed those online courses, they were qualified to come to the practicum. And we had a 1 week hands-on training course where we were able to say, tools in hand, right? Execute what you learned online. So we went, instead of doing a bunch of theory in a classroom, and a bunch of wasted time, bantering back and forth in person. All of the theory was given online. And then we did the practicum where we did the hands-on, with a couple of bugged bikes, right? Like here's a bike that, is overheating, but says it's not overheating. Here's a bike that, doesn't start, but says it should start, and, diagnose it and find out what's going on. And so a lot of that was done in that way. If you take a look at Suzuki was completely different in their training methodologies. Suzuki had model training. The music's getting louder. Let me turn this down a little bit. In fact, let me just turn it off. Suzuki had training that was really based on each model. They had some things that were simple, right? So they had like charging system diagnosis or cooling system flushing or something. Like they would have like these categories of basic tasks, but they also really relied heavily on, and again, I'm gonna use that SCORM term. They made a huge investment in having SCORM content made for each model. So I remember when I took over the position, the B King had been built, sold, and canceled before I ever got the job at Suzuki, right? If you're into motorcycles and you remember the B King, it was a pretty formidable machine, but nobody liked it. I mean, I say nobody liked it. I'm sure it has a cult following somewhere. But the B King came, left, gone. But it was still like mandatory training in the system that I took over. And so these model trainings were basically, this is this model, this is what's on it, this is how it works, this is how we diagnose it, this is what to do if something goes wrong, and then leverage your other basic skills, for other things. And one of the things that I did at Suzuki was I went through the menu and I said, you know what, there's like 60 hours of training here that we're making technicians take. And realistically, if we create a legacy library that's optional, and then we create a mandatory library that people have to do to be certified, we can drive this down to like 12 or 15 hours. And ideally that's where I want to be. That's something else to talk about with training. When you are creating training material, you need to be respectful of your stakeholders. And so in a corporate setting, it's very common for presidents and vice presidents and CEOs to be like, I want to train on everything, every time, every way, drill it, drill it, drill it. And they beat on, we need to have all this stuff. You can't spend any money, but you got to teach everything. And in certain regards, you want to guard the student's time, right? You want to say, hey, we need to get this done within 10 hours. We need to get this done within 15 hours. We need to get this done within 6 months of, scheduled training or something like that. Like there needs to be light at the end of the tunnel. And if we're not careful, we can abuse e-learning and get the negative effect of e-learning, which I talked about at the beginning of the call. The way that I'm trying to talk about why every business needs e-learning is I'm trying my best to communicate to people. And this isn't even just, it's great. If you want to use Mañana No Mas to make your training website, that's fantastic. I'd love to have that conversation with you. But it's not even just that. Like, I just want to really kind of like proselytize. Like, there is so much value to companies that can embrace the modern e-learning era without going upside down financially. And that's it in a nutshell. I wanted to kind of do the screen shares I did to show you that we can build a cohesive website that not only has the e-learning material, but the e-learning ties into the CRM, manages the users, gives you a history of what the users are doing within the website, and gives you the progress that they are attaining or achieving in the learning product. And like I said, unlike some purpose-built, solo purpose, expensive, SCORM only website, we can make your website multi-purpose. It can do all of these things rather than just the one thing. And what I probably haven't been clear enough on this call, and I should really make it kind of cut in before I end the call, which is going to be like in a minute or so. SCORM is not a dirty word. Some of the SCORM authoring tools are putting out product that is very superior. A good instructional designer. So there are people that basically think SCORM like animates a PowerPoint. And admittedly, that corporate training sucks. But a real instructional designer using Articulate 360, Captivate, Rise, any of those can make really attractive training product that's engaging, that's interactive, that's almost fun, and the people don't hate taking. You don't want people to have negative feelings or be really upset every time you say there's training to do. You want people to go, yeah, I'd rather do the job, but I can do the training. It's not that bad. I'll knock it out. Right. That's the attitude you want. That's not that bad. I can knock it out, instead of, oh my God, the training sucks. And so if your company has all the SCORM content, we can run that. There's tools in WordPress where I could take your SCORM content, I can plug it in, it can work, it can play, it can work exactly as you expect it to. Not only that, we can work on the back end to make sure that it syncs with your Lifter LMS reporting. And so one of the biggest things that I run into when I talk to organizations, enterprise businesses about an e-learning website is they'll say, hey, you can take care of the marketing site and you can do our brochure site and all that, but we're not really in a position to make this change yet on our e-learning website. And then I'll ask some questions. And it turns out that they're really nervous about moving all that content over to a new environment. They have it in their heads that it's not going to work, or that we're going to lose some of their learning content, like the SCORM's not going to transfer over or something like that. It does. It transfers over fine. It plays fine. It behaves like you expect it to. And like I said, we can sync the reporting so that when people complete a SCORM course as a SCORM course, it'll actually say, hey, it's complete in the Lifter LMS reporting, and still give out certificates and achievements and things like that inside your site. So don't worry that you've made an investment. When I say SCORM's expensive, I see companies that will spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to have a course developed in SCORM. So when I start throwing these numbers out and people act like I'm crazy, I'm not crazy, because I have experience. I've seen it. So if a company has 10 SCORM courses, they may have already invested $300,000, $50,000, $500,000, right? I'm doing the math all wrong. They could have invested $500,000 just in the SCORM content. That's not talking about having the website custom developed and hosted and maintained and all those things. And so when I say that companies are spending $250,000, $500,000, $1.6 million, Suzuki's example, and I'm not giving away any corporate secrets here. If you look at all of the models that they had all that training built on, I told you there was like 65 hours of training when I first took the position there. That just imagine the budget to make all of those SCORM courses, having, contracts with companies to kick out that kind of content for you. We're talking millions of dollars, millions. And so when I go to a company and say, hey, I'd like to take over your e-learning website, the instant panic is, no, we're not ready for that kind of change yet. We've already invested millions of dollars in this. We can't just turn the page. But then when I say, hey, what are you spending on that every year? And they say, well, it's $200,000 a year for hosting and maintenance, and the content's already made. And I say, what if we took that $200,000, $300,000, $350,000, and we could knock that down to $50,000 or $60,000 a year? Are you in the mood to save $250,000 a year today? That's a fair question. And so there really are some great opportunities to embrace e-learning as any company. If you don't already have the e-learning made, you don't have to go the SCORM route. We can build the training directly in WordPress. We can put everything in order. We can get things going for you, and it'll be on budget. It'll make it, you'll be happy. Your customers will be happy. Your staff will be happy. And quite honestly, your accounts payable is going to be happy. Everybody's going to be happy. If you're a company that already has a ton of learning content, you have all the SCORM, and you've made millions of dollars of investments in learning, don't panic. We can take that content, we can put it in a different environment that looks better, smells better, is more efficient, and again, makes your account payable department very, very happy. We can positively affect your budget in a really good way by getting you off of these antiquated purpose-built SCORM websites. Now, the people that still make these purpose-built SCORM websites, I mean, if you search up LMS, you're going to see literally hundreds of options, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of learning sites. And that's not going to go away. That's like 65,000 plugins in the WordPress repository. That's not going to go away. People are going to keep making plugins. The responsibility I have as an agency owner when I talk to my clients is, out of those 65,000 plugins, what are the 15 or 20 that make my tech stack? And it's the same with the e-learning. Out of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of options for e-learning that are available to search up on Google, which 1, 2, or 3 of them are the ones that you really want to make part of your tech stack and take a serious look at? And that's part of the value of working with an expert in the field. So I hope that there was some value today. Nick, thanks for coming. It was great to see you come in here and say hello like that. If you're still with me, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. We're going to wrap this one up. I really felt that there's some value in this message. If you watch the replay and you've got comments, any channel that you're watching on, this is on multiple Facebook accounts, LinkedIn, X, YouTube. If you see the replay, you pop in a comment, I'm going to see it. I'll give you a heads up. Also, if you want to book a call with me, you can do that. Go to mañananomas.com and you can go ahead and book a call with me. And that's right through the homepage. Let me see if we have, yeah, if you're wondering how to spell Mañana No Mas, it's down there, right? Mañana No Mas, full service agency. I'll put the brand back up in case there's any question as to that. And I think that's it. Folks, have yourself an absolutely wonderful day. Today's Thursday, so we've only got a day left in the week. Finish the week strong. And then if you're like me, take some time over the weekend, recenter, get re-energized, and get ready to kick at it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.